Salvete discipuli. In this lesson, we will be talking about how the demonstrative adjectives hic, haec, hoc, and illa, illud are used in sentences as both adjectives and pronouns. Let's get started. First of all, what do we mean by the term demonstrative? It comes from the Latin word that means to show or to point out, demonstro, demonstrare. And that is its actual function within a sentence, to literally point to the noun that it is describing or replacing. Let's look at some examples in English of how this, these, that, and those are used. Here's our first sentence. This chair is more comfortable than that chair. Can you hear how the pronoun this and that, actually the adjective this and that, is actually pointing to a specific chair? When I say this chair, I'm clearly talking about the one closer to me, as opposed to that chair over there. The words this and that are really sort of like the finger of the person talking, pointing to the item that is being described by the demonstrative. I've never seen these flowers. When I use the plural these to describe flowers, I might be talking about flowers that are sitting in front of me or some that are along the path, but you can rest assured that they are close to me. That man is the sole survivor of the battle. Remember that when we use that, we are generally speaking about someone or something that is farther away. So if I say that man, I'm talking about someone who is not in a close proximity to me. And here is the plural of that. Those women are the ones who worked at NASA. So I might be at a lecture and I might see a group of women on the stage, and perhaps someone has come in late and doesn't know who they are, so I might say to them, those women, the ones on the stage, are the ones who worked for NASA. So this is how we see the adjective in a sentence in English. Remember that in English, adjectives simply need to be placed in front of the noun that they describe. But in Latin, adjectives are a little more involved. For in Latin, when an adjective describes a noun, it must have the same gender as the noun, the same case as the noun, and it must also have the same number as the noun, or else without word order in this language, we really won't know what noun it is intended to describe. The easiest way to see this in action is to take a look at several Latin sentences and see how this works. Hi servi dominum non amabant. Servus means servant. You can see from the ending on its genitive form that it is a second declension noun, and the nominative form, us, tells us that it is masculine. For this reason, when we want to describe it with a form of the demonstrative, we need to use the masculine form of the demonstrative. In the sentence, servi is plural. I know this because the verb ending is plural, which indicates I need a plural subject. So servi is definitely plural. This means that the form of the demonstrative pronoun, hic, haec, hoc, has to be in the masculine nominative plural form, which is why we see these. Hi servi dominum non amabant. These servants do not like their master. In this next sentence, we are using both hunc, a form of hic, haec, hoc, and illum, a form of illa, illud. They are both describing the word book. Again, if I look at the genitive form of book, I see that it belongs to second declension, and the R on the nominative form tells me that it is a masculine noun. So when I use the demonstratives hic and illa, I must make sure to use the masculine forms of them. In the sentence itself, librum, which is how it's being used in both parts of the sentence, is in the singular form, and the um on a second declension masculine noun is accusative. So when I want to describe it with hic haec hoc or illa illa illud, I have to make sure that I am using the masculine accusative singular form, hence the word hunc and illum. Magister hunc librum puero, sed illum librum puellae dat. The teacher gives this book to the boy, but that book to the girl. In this next sentence, we see the word hunc, a form of hic haec hoc, being used twice. Both times it is describing or referring to the gladium, or the sword. In the first part of the sentence, we notice that hunc is right next to the word gladium. Gladium comes from gladius gladii, again, a second declension masculine noun meaning sword. The makes it accusative singular, so when I describe it with the demonstrative, it also needs to be accusative and singular. Father gave me, that's the mihi, hunc gladium, this sword. Amasne hunc? Amas is just the verb amo, amara, and the ne on the end of it turns the entire phrase into a question. So, do you like hunc? It means this, but to what am I referring? And this is our first look at the demonstrative being used as a pronoun. We'll talk more about that in the next part of this lesson, but just take a quick peek at it right now. I could be talking about the father because my pronoun is masculine and singular like father is, or I could be talking about the sword. It's likely that I'm talking about the sword since I want to know, since I'm specifically pointing it out to you, if you actually like it. And that's how I would choose to translate hunc in this second sentence. Amasne hunc? Do you like it? Here we see the same sentence, but this time with illud, meaning that. So the sentence means the same thing, but instead of saying this sword, I'll say that sword. And then again, I would translate the second sentence as, do you like that? At this point, we're going to pause the lesson and give you an opportunity to try your own hand at determining what would be the form of the pronoun to use in a sentence as it's describing a Latin noun. So that means that you'll have to remember things about how to determine the gender and declension, the gender and the number and the case of the Latin noun that the demonstrative pronoun is going to describe.